I would say that she's a dynamic character, and I'm very glad for that. Like, I love that she had an evil side.
My name is Hannah Monson, and Bin Night with Tech and Matty is an extra special chat between friends and one secret guest.
G'day, g'day, g'day.
G'day, g'day, g'day. I was going to do a countdown. Let me do a countdown.
Okay, do the countdown.
Okay, 5, 4, 3,
Welcome to
going
Bin
live
Night with Tak and Matty.
Goodness.
I'm Takaya and he's Matty Hugh.
Yeah, and
Wilson.
You are the interruption. I'm Matty Wilson, and welcome back for a special episode this time because we don't only have one guest.
All of our episodes have been special, Matthew. Stop being so rude to our
this
guests.
one. Sorry, everyone else. You didn't have little Hana involved. You didn't have Isla, Tanaka, Brennan on your episode.
Tanaka, Brennan.
So that makes it special. That elevates it. And Claire, Hana's mum.
Well,
my
it's
goodness.
Isla, Tanaka, Brennan, and it's Hana Abe-Tucker. So
Yeah, the two banger surname both times.
Double whatchamacallit
Yeah.
surnames in both aspects. No, she's a little firecracker, and you'll see in this interview when she comes on exactly who she is, and we have to have her back every year. I can't wait to see how she grows up.
Oh God, we've grown up with her. We've seen her progress. We've seen her realize that she's working. We've seen her realize that she's on a television show, and just like it hasn't been overnight. It's been gradual, but it's been so special to watch. Like she's such a she's one to watch. She's a keen little human being. She's her own
and
little
a
package.
wonderful soul. Like she greets everything with a smile. She's always happy. She's got the attention span of either of us. She'll jump from one thing to the next. But she brings such joy to everything. And we're talking a lot about Hannah, but we've got to talk a lot about Hannah too.
I was going to say, sorry, Hannah, you've been upstaged.
Which, to be fair, we're all used to with Hannah. In every scene, she upstages us. But no, Hannah Monson has come on the episode. She replaced Charlotte Chimes as Nicolette and did a wonderful job at bringing new life to the character.
And she replaced you as my best friend after David Tanaka died. So sorry about that.
Well, that's the first time I've heard about that. So
yeah,
thanks for that.
There you go. Happens
anyway,
quick, doesn't it?
Hannah will be great.
Don't cry.
So I hear you got an update about little old Barry and Penny, aka your son and his lover.
Yeah. Mind you, he is 4 years old and she is 5 years old. And
she's a cougar.
Well, I know. What's that? 20% of her age younger. That's wild, isn't it? Yeah.
Because if he was 40, she'd be 50. So
yeah.
It's quite
there
a lot.
You go. So yeah, we've had some developments there, and I'm not really sure where this is going to go. So this is kind of asking for advice.
Sounds bad, Matty.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, these are kids, right? They don't have that consciousness yet of what the consequences of what they're saying and everything. So they're at the beach and they're running around. The son's going, oh, is that where we were? Anyway, we're somewhere.
I wasn't there, didn't I?
And the kids were running around. There was some sort of water involved, a pool or the beach. Jeez, my memory's good. I'm too tired again. And then all of a sudden, I hear this out the corner of my ear. I hear this. Hey, do you want to get naked yet? I'm like, and that's Penny. Penny's saying that to Barry. These are pseudo names for our kids. I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny. Anyway, moving on. And then later
did you
on,
say that to yourself or to them?
No, to myself. I thought, oh, that's probably nothing to be concerned about. They're just kids. And then later on, she steps it up and says, "Hey, do you want to see me naked yet?" I'm like,
wow.
How am I meant to handle this? So this is my thing. Like, we do every time we say things like, hey, look, these are your private parts. This is what they're called. This is the proper name. And we don't just share that with everyone. We want to keep that to ourselves. And then Jess, my wife, is like, I said something, oh, that's his girlfriend over there to someone. And Jess goes, babe, don't. You can't say girlfriend. or boyfriend. I'm like, why? She says, because you're setting him up for a broken heart. It's just his friend. It's just his friend. So we're getting specific with the labels here, because we don't know where this is going to go. It's getting serious. It's getting really serious.
I don't feel like if you referring to her as a girlfriend or a friend is going to affect how he thinks about her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he'd be any less heartbroken if they broke up. If you guys are calling her girlfriend or
no,
whatever.
but then he'll say, "Oh, my girlfriend broke up with me," rather than my friend. Well, I guess it's the same thing. I don't know. I don't know. Look, here's what I've taken out of that. I'm not going to ask you for advice. So anyone out there who has kids who have had similar conversations, or they've started to experience love, and you don't know where to draw the line, help me out. Throw me a line. Tell me how I should handle this. Tak, did you do something on the weekend? Did you do a particular course, or did you go to an event? You're looking awfully confident.
It's almost like you knew to ask me about something there, Matty.
Yeah.
No,
That's right.
I look, last week my social medias got hammered with ads for a free Tony Robbins event. And I don't know what you or anyone at home feels about Tony Robbins, but I've
done a Tony
Robbins.
The past.
I've read a couple of his books, and I've watched a bunch of videos of him and that kind of thing, and a lot of his tools that he comes up with, if you enact them, I think can be quite positive within your life.
I am strong, I am brave, I am beautiful.
You're warrior, you're I've already forgot them. You're warrior, well, there's 4 of them, and I've got notes here, Matty. I've got to refer to my notes, because otherwise,
no, please don't.
You're warrior, you're magician, you're lover, and king or sovereign. You know, they're the 4 kind of internal voices. Anyway, I did this. He did a free seminar, let's call it, over the weekend, which is ultimately an ad for his big seminar stuff that he does, which are 12-hour long days.
Or multiple days where you walk on fire and you stay in a resort overseas.
Yeah, well, this one in particular, his advertising was an online one, so this free thing actually started in COVID. Because he wanted to give people stuff during that time, which is actually quite nice. And then obviously he's turned it into a platform where you can advertise for a big online event and his other in-person ones. But so I got up at 6 a.m. every day, or actually before 6 a.m. I was getting up then for Ari anyway, but and logged on to this Zoom.
There you go.
And heard him talk for a few days. And it was really interesting. It was also interesting to be able to see everybody else in the Zoom and how they were getting involved, because you got a lot of physicality. You got to scream and yell and say yes, and I could do that.
Fuck, I'd love to see a recording of that.
Well, there are recordings, not of me, but of the thing. But have you ever done any of that kind of thing? Any self?
Yeah, I went to one. I went to a Tony Robbins thing. Oh man, you feel like you're a superhero while you're there, and then that lasts for a few days, and then it tapers away because you forgot everything he said, and you just go back to being yourself. So it's really hard to maintain it. I did another one where, like, the main speaker, we left earlier. I think it might have been Tony Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki, or maybe someone else, but the main speaker at the end was Donald Trump, way before he was in running for politics. But we left before that, and it's all the same sort of a thing. You get people out there with notebooks and stuff, and I feel like a lot of people go there for the feeling, because it gives you such a good, like, it empowers you. They're so good for that. But whether you take it on or whether you actually do the work after that, I mean, you're on your own. And
yeah, I do wonder about that, because so many on the thing were like, I'm going again this year. I try to go every year, or that kind of thing.
Right.
I'm like,
well, you shouldn't need to.
Did you not learn the things last time? Because in reality, like, some of the stuff I think is great. It's like you get yourself into a state, which is like feeling empowered, essentially, that power posing and saying yes, and activating certain parts of you so that you can take control over the emotions or the emotional state you were in, by increasing your state to a place where you feel powerful and that you're in control of things, and then you make decisions in that state. and you take action, and then you follow through because you've taken the first action in that state. Then it forces you to follow through. Like there's stuff that I'm like, yeah, like before an audition or whatever. If I do some of that, he calls them incantations as opposed to affirmations, because you get into it. I think that's like it could be a really powerful thing to use, but it is a thing that like you actually have to do it, and that's his whole thing. Really, is like it's a whole bunch of tools to just make you do it. And it is that thing like so many people would say, and myself included, go like I know what to do. I've just got to go do it, but I feel or place these blockages in front of me, and doing some of this stuff is really about not trying to get through those blockages. It's just changing your state or your point of view from another direction so that they don't even matter. I don't need my emotions to be in the right place to do something. I just need to do the thing. And I think that can be really valuable. So I think he does this yearly. So anyone who wants to do a little bit of dip their toes into Anthony Robbins, do the free thing, because he gives a lot out in it. And
I think you can basically skip the course and remember this one little mantra. If nothing changes, nothing changes. That's basically what I took from it.
When are you going to start doing that, Matty? Is that
Oh, Tak! I have been working like a dog this week. My skin is just so dry. It's outrageous. What's going on with you? You're in Melbourne. How come your skin's glowing?
Well, I've got a secret. It's magic. It's Egyptian magic. You can use it on your face, your body, even as a hair treatment.
And where did you get this stuff from, this magic potion?
From our pals and sponsors at beautyboat.com. They sent you some as well, and for a limited time, our Bin Night audience gets 25% off Egyptian magic and their entire order by using the code BIN25.
Egyptian magic, huh? Oh. Wait a second. Did you say I can use this anywhere?
Well, yeah, but don't get weird. You can use Egyptian magic as a face moisturizer, an eye cream, scar treatment, hair mask, baby cream, shaving balm, and anything else you might think of. It's got beeswax, honey, bee pollen, royal jelly, propolis.
I'm going to stock up. So what do we do? Beautyboat.com. I put everything, add all into cart. Yes, that's going straight into my basket. And the code is
BIN25. That's spelled BIN25. You get 25% off your whole order.
You guys can browse the website as there are so many incredible products, including the signature discovery boxes. Ooh la la.
Thank you, beautyboat.com.
Thank you, beautyboat.com.
Beautyboat is our official beauty partner here at Bin Night with Tak and Matty.
Hey, Tak, is there such a thing as OnlyHands? What? Hey, let's get into this. Let's bring on Hana Monson and Hana. Not Abe. It's not Abe. Abe. Hana Abe-Tucker. Everyone bring in their favorite vocal warm-up because this is going to be a big one. Hana, begin.
Eat, ate, out, eat, out.
Beat, bait, bite, boat, but seat, sight, so, sut, deep, date, dite, dote, dot, beat, bait, bite, boat, but deep, date, guide, goat, gut, heat, hate, hype, boat,
oh my God, that's hard.
So you go through the whole alphabet of consonants, and then you and that's the vocal warm-up. It's good for pronunciation.
I did that once and I pulled a muscle in my like in my mouth somehow, and I had to go to work, and I was like,
You definitely did something wrong there, Matt. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this the best. I'm going to put all my energy into
Every day. What did you get into acting, Hannah?
It's really it's so loser. I well, I did musicals and stuff, and I was like, I love this until we sing.
Is this at school or
Like even as a kid, I was like, Sesame Street's pretty cool until they sing. And then I was, and then I went to. I was doing literature, and we went and saw Hamlet, and it had Brendan Cowell in it as Hamlet, and it was really good, and I cried like 3 times. I don't think I've ever cried at Shakespeare again. And I was like, oh, I could do that. It was just like a really great play with no singing in it.
What were the other options, or were there no other options at this point?
What
what you
I
could
was gonna
do?
do?
Yeah.
I was going to do visual arts, writing, or acting, so it was going to be something creative. And then for some reason, I was like, acting seems like a more of a job, like a thing
Yeah.
you do. I'd
No
probably be
offense to-
working more as a visual artist. Let's be honest.
So, well, what happened from there, right? So you saw the play, and then what? You did drama at school, I presume.
Yeah, I did some like really embarrassing auditions where I was just had no idea what I was doing, and looking back, I was like, that was crazy. And the one that I was least crazy, and I got into that one. And yeah, I also like applied for visual arts schools and stuff.
I did my worst ever audition for an acting school. I was in the middle of my Shakespeare monologue, and I was thinking, wow, this is what bad acting is. I was literally having those thoughts whilst saying the words, which probably gave a really interesting performance to the judges. They were probably like, I don't know what's going on, but something different's happening. I was saying the words going, wow, this is really bad.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys know Carol Churchill, but she's like a
Yes.
prolific playwright in the UK, right? And her writing is really weird, and it's like, okay, so I was in first year uni already, and we were doing a Carol Churchill play, and we were also doing animal studies, right? Which is this act at school thing you do where you like become an animal. It's meant to teach you about physicality and embodying something else, and using your whole self to be something else. And I was a cheetah, no, a leopard. And we were doing this Carol Churchill play, and the lines were like, better, bitter, better off, you're better over here, ass over cha-cha-cha. It was like that, right? And this
Exactly
teacher
like
I
that.
had who was profound was like, do it as your animal. And I was like, oh my God, he's profound. And so that's what we did in the play. And then we're like, bring in a monologue. And I was like, oh, I already know one. I'll do my Carol Churchill one as the leopard. Bitter, butter, 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 like that. And so I was like, great. Like not worrying about the context, how out of context that would be in an audition. And everyone just looked at me and there was this moment of silence and they just said, right, thank you. And I was like, and only then was I like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
They were like, this one's too crazy.
That was a bad
This
choice.
This leopard can't be tamed. Great leopard, not a good human. Not a good
How
human.
old were you
But,
at this point?
Like 21, 20?
Okay. I was picturing little 12-year-old Hannah.
Oh, no, full adult decision.
So you were
yeah.
a full-grown adult. Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
nah, yeah.
I remember my favorite thing. I just can't get this out of my head. Hannah goes, just talking about having ADD. And she said, yeah, one day, this is an example. One day I had friends over and the doorbell rang because Uber Eats arrived. So I went out the front to pick up the food. And then next thing, my friends are like, where is the food? And they go out the front and Hannah's mowing the lawn.
It's really funny because, okay, I had a moment of weakness, right? And I looked at Reddit about me on Neighbours. And
Uh-oh. Bad idea.
and people said some things that I'm not going to repeat, not because just because I think you shouldn't say that about people. And then they were like, yeah. Oh, maybe it wasn't Reddit. Maybe it was like an Instagram thing. They were like, I really relate to Nicolette. Like, as a neurodiverse person with ADHD, like, I think that she has ADHD. And I was like, wow, that wasn't a character choice. That was just me seeping in. They're like, like her moods are really up and down. She gets fixated, like rejection sensitivity, like all this stuff. I was like, oh, okay. I've been read.
When did you get diagnosed with, is it ADHD?
Yeah, that was like a couple of years ago. And I saw this guy and he diagnosed me in 20 minutes and I thought, let me get diagnosed again.
Was he a doctor or?
Just a guy I was chatting to at a bar.
We got onto the topic and he was like, yeah, you got ADHD.
He was like, girl, you've got ADHD. Focus. And, everyone is like, I've got ADHD, right? Which is cool. I think that's just happening because people are more aware of it. But I was like, I want to be like sure. I don't want to just be saying I have this thing and then not have this thing. So I got 2 diagnoses. And they both said, yep, you got it, lady.
Wow.
And were you like,
there you go.
Woohoo! I was like, woohoo, actually, because all of a sudden you were like validated for all these things. You were like, oh my goodness, it was like, it's like a reason for why you were weird.
Hana, we've heard you talk about stage, and your love-hate relationship. And what about screen? How did you get into screen? Did you go and get yourself a manager at some point?
Yeah, I was in acting school and we were finishing up and I was like, surely I'm like a theatre actor. But I feel like in Australia, you get chosen by theatre at the start or you get chosen by TV, if you're lucky enough to get chosen by either. And yeah, I got an agent. Funny ADHD story. I had a fake tooth at the time, right? This one's fake. And it got pulled out and it's got a heel up there, right? Before they put the screw in and they screw in your little porcelain tooth. So I had this little clip-in tooth. It was like on a little mini retainer, right? And I would always lose it. So it was like this tooth and I never knew where it was. So I was like getting ready for my first interview with an agent, so it was like really important. And I was in Ballarat and I had to go to Melbourne and my train was coming and I couldn't find my tooth. And I was like going through this like trashy university house, like, where is my tooth?
Oh my God.
I need to go to this agent interview to get this agent. And then I was like screaming, having a mental breakdown. And then I just picked up this upside down measuring cup in the kitchen. My tooth was under there and I found my tooth. I ran, I got it. She was like, I want to represent you. And then I did a couple of auditions and lucky enough, I just got Glitch, like right place, right time. The role really suited me. And I don't think that would have happened if I didn't find that tooth. So lucky me.
So then you go on to Glitch, right? Which Glitch was a huge... How many seasons did Glitch do?
3.
Glitch did 3 seasons in Australia for those who haven't seen it or are from the UK. And you were on there for how many seasons?
3.
All 3? There you go. And so you step onto set, your first television gig, and it's a big one.
Yeah.
How does that look? And you've got your
yeah.
tooth in or out?
Nah, screwed in at that point. Can't lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good. Yeah, pretty scary. Lots of imposter syndrome, of course, but also so exciting and actually not that bad because everyone on that project was brilliant, like so welcoming and so supportive. So I really lucked out. Like it was an incredible first gig.
What was your first scene? How did it go?
What was my first scene? I think I was like, I'd come out of the grave because I returned from the dead. And so I was like basically naked, covered in what they did to make it look like I'd come out of the earth, which was a sensory nightmare, is they would cover your entire body in hair gel.
Oh, that's very sticky.
Bad, isn't it? And then I don't remember it being bad though, because I was just like, I'm new and it's great. I think if they did it now, I would be like,
yeah, that's right.
And then they cover you in cocoa powder and crushed up chocolate ripple bickies.
What happened between there and Neighbours then?
Not a lot. Nah, I did.
I sat idly in my
life
house.
of an actor. I sat idly having an existential breakdown. Nah, I did some other stuff, but like more guest roles and plays. And yeah, then I thought, gosh, if I don't get anything by the time I'm 30, I really need to think about doing something else. And then I got Neighbours, so here I am.
So when Neighbours came along, how did that casting process go? Because obviously you were coming in as a replacement for someone else, and that's
Yes, an imposter.
a very strange experience.
Yeah, I had to do like 3 different auditions, I think, 3 or 4, and then I came in, and yeah, everyone's like, "Oh my God, was that weird for you?" I was like, "Not really. Just came in and did the role."
Did you try and not watch the other Nicolette so that you could bring a new angle to it?
No, I did, because it was good. Because I always say that you guys start, and it's just like it's not like a movie where you get the whole story in your hands in the script, and you can see the journey of your character, so you can figure out who it is that you're playing. Whereas on a soap, they give you like the week. So, like, here's a couple of days of what they would do, and that doesn't really tell you a lot about who they are. So it's
And no
hard to
real
build a character.
backstory.
It
You have like
takes
2
time.
lines about
No
backstory.
backstory, exactly. Whereas I had all this backstory of Nicolette's character that I was able to watch. So I think it was actually like I was in a better position, really, because of that.
You had a new brother as well. So Xavier came in to cover from Joe, and so you guys were in this together, right?
Yeah,
you guys were figuring it out together. That must have felt a lot better.
It still takes a minute. Like most people say that on Neighbours. Like it takes you a good couple of months to figure out. Oh, okay, you hit your stride, and you're like, oh, this is who the person is. To find some consistency as well.
Nicolette, she can be quite divisive too. That's like one of those characters with a really fine line to walk, kind of like Paul Robinson, right? He's lovable and hateable sort of in the same scene. It's crazy to try and comprehend. But Nicolette, like, all credit to you. That's a tough role.
No, I would say that she's a dynamic character, and I'm very glad for that. Like, I love that she had an evil side. I love that she was unpredictable, and that was her kind of function in Neighbours, right? That she was unpredictable. You could put her in any situation; she would do anything, and that's what made her like such an exciting Moorish character. Because like, you're never gonna be like, what do we do with Nicolette now? Like.
You give the audience the expectation that they're unpredictable, which allows them to be a function of chaos for any storyline, and people will believe it, as opposed to putting like a character like David who's not chaotic and getting them to do something that chaotic. The audience goes, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? And that they start thinking about that as opposed to going along with the story,
which is the hardest part of like soap acting, right? Because it's very story driven as opposed to like character driven. So all of a sudden you're like doing this thing and you're like, how do I make sense of that? Because I'm playing a character, I'm playing a human. Like I always went to my friend who's a psychologist, and I was like, my character's doing this, this, and this. Why would anyone do that? And she would get really excited because she loves like doing case studies. She'd be like, ooh, maybe this happened in the childhood. Maybe this scheme is going on, So like, you really have to figure out, okay, how am I making this work? And we would have conversations on set about that. Like, okay, especially me and Matt, because we became like a parental role, like you two had. I'm sure you two had that conversation as well. Like, how are we making this storyline work together? Like, why are we suddenly fighting about this week? And like, how do we like? Do you want to be the hated one? Am I going to be the hated one? Like, how are we gonna pitch this to him?
Who's good cop? Who's bad cop?
Yeah.
Lead in with a plan.
Yeah.
But then there's like Nicolette in particular got storylines that were like hard to justify, right? Sometimes she would make decisions that are just so far from anyone's mindset that now you've got to justify that. Were there any that you couldn't justify?
So many.
I mean, Lucky went around for the stealing the baby thing. Charlotte Chimes had to get through that. That was a tough one.
I'd always find a justification. I would, because there's always a reason that people act the way that they do, whether the character I'm playing is aware of it or not. So I, as Hannah, would come up with something that maybe Nicolette wasn't aware that that's where it was coming from, but she's very reactive. So that kind of allowed me to explain things, if you know what I mean. Are we allowed to gossip about the show now? Is someone going to sue us?
Yeah.
Okay. When Nicolette was like, what's her name? Krista and Leo, I was like, let's have a baby together. Yes, I could figure out how to justify it, but playing it was very hard for me because I found all the overly maternal stuff disgusting.
Icky.
It made me feel so icky. So there's all these scenes where I'm like, let's make a baby. I'm feeling fertile this morning. And Nicola's just
I'm
so
feeling
excited.
fertile this morning.
I don't know. It was like there were like these lines, right? And I'm going into the gynecologist and I'm like, stay with me, Krista. And like from multiple directors, they would stop and they would be like, hey, Hannah, just one more time. And can you just play it like you're a bit more excited? Like you are really excited that you're having a baby. It's like you're actually happy about it. And it's like squeezing the end of toothpaste out. You're like, really trying
at
to.
7:30 a.m. in the morning, and they've got you doing this. I can see that happening.
But that's such a classic thing with Neighbours too, that like, because as you said, it's story driven, so you get thrown as a character into stories sometimes that you don't really agree with from your character perspective, because you're the only one as the actor protecting your character. Everybody else is just trying to get the story out. And so then we got put in positions where you're like, well, I don't think my character would do that. Like one time they were doing, it was a real offshoot thing, but it was a talent competition at the Waterhole, and they wanted David to wear Aaron's like sparkly underwear things, short shorts, and that's all. And I was like, well, if he wears that, he's going to be really self-conscious. He's not going to be able to like have fun doing the thing. So I don't know if it will end up being funny, and if it is, you're just laughing at him, which is kind of not a nice kind of comedy either. So I really thought that, and ended up being he became an Elton John Rocket Man style thing. And then I was like, okay, that works because David would wear that, and then now he can actually have heaps of fun being the character that is, and then we can get comedy out, which we did, rather than him standing awkward on stage, putting his hands in front of his groin because he doesn't want to expose himself, which is what he as a character would do. But they just wanted the pure comedy of him being in his underwear. And I'm like, I'm fine with having my top off, but it needs to work for the character. Were there times
abusive.
I know.
They wanted me to wear
Stop
these
trying to make me naked.
gold sparkly pants, and I didn't feel comfortable.
No, well, I mean, David's had his butt out. So, I mean, he's been shirtless and whatever plenty of times. It was just in that storyline, it just didn't make sense that he, as a character, would do it.
Yeah.
Were there times where you pushed back on certain things?
When it went strongly against my values, which was rarely, I would say, not comfortable, let's say it differently, or there was only a couple of times. I was pretty, I don't know, when it didn't make sense, I'd kind of just have fun with it. I'd be like, all right, we're doing this today. I tried to have as much fun as I could, and hopefully that read on screen. And I think because Nicolette is so chaotic, I think I had less of that than your character would have run into, for sure. Your character's a lot more predictable. He's a consistent one. He's very moral center. Whereas for me, I was like, yeah, I could make that work. You know what I mean? So only if it like crossed a value of mine personally, and I didn't want to be partaking in that. But
there were some
elements. I'm making that sound a lot
of,
bigger than it was, but
I don't know. But there were some things like that Nicolette, I feel like I remember when we had a big discussion about it when they wanted Nicolette to have a I can't remember what the broad storyline was, but Nicolette had an affair with a man.
Oh, they wanted
and
her to be bisexual. They were like, let's
Yeah,
keep
and
in
it
a
was like, no,
bisexual
but
story
she
line.
was such like a like it went against for me who the character was, that was that one thing that she'd been so clear about, and then to suddenly make her bisexual felt really
Yeah, and
odd.
I was just gonna go along with that, but after chatting to you, I was pretty recently.
Oh, you're putting it on me.
No. I'm about to say I appreciated it. I just started really, and you were like, hey, take a second to think about it, you know, like blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I I think I am gonna say something, and we did. We had a good chat about it. It wasn't like anyone was arguing, but I was like, this and this about that. Let's keep her gay. Come on, let's keep her gay.
Let's not take that one thing of consistency about her away from her.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, guys.
Was it just like a convenience, or like was it just for the purpose of the storyline or the purpose of the character? Well, obviously, it wasn't for the purpose of the character. Do you know what I mean?
I think it was just a storyline that someone pitched, and they were like, it would be interesting to see someone question their sexuality in a way that you don't usually see. Like, usually we see it's like a straight character, and they're like, oh, hang on, maybe I'm not straight. But what if someone who just was very sure that they were like just a lesbian was like, oh, hang on, I'm confused because I'm actually getting feelings for a man, which is interesting and a valid story.
Which is what it became, but initially I think it was just to spark the storyline where, what was her name? The crazy character who,
Veronica.
like Veronica wanted to like kill you or whatever, which was a red herring for who will die when David died, wasn't it? And the idea being that you had cheated with her husband or whatever, and then she was coming to get you for that. Yeah. So it was a motivation for that.
Yeah, and like ultimately, like I'm queer. I was excited that I was playing a queer character, and I was like, it'd be cool if she just stayed queer. That'd be great for me. That'd be fun for me.
but also representationally, I think it matters that it doesn't feel like people who are queer in any sense, but in a specific sense of in whichever form of sexuality they choose or are, that then it's not like, oh, I can suddenly change as just for here and there, that is actually something, a part of me that is a solid thing, rather than necessarily the idea that some people would have who are homophobic or whatever, that it's a choice. You know what I mean? So you really got to ground
totally.
that.
And she still would have been queer, like she would have been bisexual.
And then after that, it sort of morphed into Nicolette just having flings with every hot girl that walked into Ramsay Street.
I know, so a really good choice for me. because not because I'm being creepy and being like, yeah, hot girls. Because I'm saying being single on Neighbours is a lot funner. Like when you're in a couple, you're like, oh, boo, 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 boo. Oh, yes. And I'm just going to go hang out with my partner, watch a movie. Now we're going to have a kid. When you're like single on the show, you're like, now I'm doing this crazy thing with this guest person. And now I'm doing that. It creates more. It was heaps more dynamic. So I was like, yes, keep me single. And it was so much fun. Like I got to work with lots of different people.
Who was your favorite?
They're all my favorite. They're all different. Like I got to work with Michelle. That was so cool. Gemma was amazing. I got to work with Maria. Like I got to work with Emma. It's just like they were all great. They were all heaps of fun.
Chriselle was a gem, wasn't she?
Oh my God, so lovely. So lovely. I was so nervous to work with her. I was like, can you guys, like the first girl they bring in is like Miss Universe. I'm like, okay, I guess if I have to.
Literally Miss Universe Australia. Yeah.
Okay, for me, okay. And then it's like, Chriselle. I'm like, hello. And she's actually just the most grounded, cool, sweet person. So I was like, yeah, so professional. Such a a normal, sweet person.
And what do you think? What do you think of how Nicolette wrapped up in the show? Do you think she came full circle? She had a proper storyline.
Yeah. I guess. Sure. Yeah, there was an ending. I guess. Is any ending perfect? I guess it's
How was it for you stepping away? How was it for you ending the show? Were you okay with it? Were you sad? Were you excited? What was it like for you that going through the ending of it?
Kind of surreal. Like, I feel like it's only just hit me recently.
Money's starting to run out.
I don't know.
Same.
I just it was so intense. It was so intensely emotional that I feel like I was just kind of overwhelmed by it all, and it didn't feel real until I really began to miss everyone. I was like, oh, hang on, I'm not gonna just like see them again at work. That's when it began to feel real, because you're also like so exhausted that you're like, yeah, I need a holiday. And then the holiday
That's
time
right.
ends and you're like, oh, it's not a holiday. It's just over.
I think that was a good way to do it, because otherwise you're mourning the show while you're there and you're not really enjoying it and enjoying the people around. Like, you're sitting there trying to appreciate it, where you had a good time. Save the sad bit for later.
I did. And yes, the ending, I just like, the crazier the ending, the better. She had a very like soft ending and it was lovely and there was closure and everything. But I would have preferred her to like blow something up or something.
Well, so then, Neighbours takes up a lot of your life when you're on it. What passions were pushed to the side that you then have had time for since?
Like everything.
More distractions?
Like,
well, what's everything for you?
Like my social life.
What's that?
Yeah, you guys wouldn't know, but it's pretty good. I bought a little house, so I've been renovating my little house. And I am also like living in the US, like spending a lot of time there.
Did you get your green card?
Yeah, I've got a green card. So the timing was good for me in the sense that I needed to start living there. So I've been, I'm going to New York soon. I'm going to try New York as my little home.
Wow, you're actually going to move there for a while. That's
Yeah. I'll be doing some back and forths, but I'm going to spend
as a function of the green card,
there.
you got to be there a minimum of 6 months, a year.
That's right.
Oh no, you got to be living there, so that's going to be my main place of residence, and I'll come back here to drop in.
And your goal is, do you want to do musicals? Do they interest you now?
You read my mind. How did you know? My next goal. I think you make a goal as an actor and God laughs, right? Is that the saying?
No, it's you book a holiday.
You book a holiday. You do, and you book a holiday. So I am just excited for what's next, and I don't know what it's going to be, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. I hope that I'm working in the US. That's my thing that I'm hoping to do right now. Oh, hello!
Who's this?
Oh, who is this?
No way.
Oh my gosh, the surprise guest is revealed. You want to hop up?
She's the best TV mum in the world.
Yes.
Oh,
We promise there's no script or auto cue here. This is all natural. For those who are just listening, Hana, who plays Isla, our TV daughter, has just jumped in on the interview, and our whole family has been reunited.
Yay!
Look at us.
do you miss being on set with us, Hana?
Yes. I miss you guys too.
Oh, we miss you. What was your favorite thing about being on set?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Can't remember? It was fun playing. Remember how we had all the toys in the living room?
Yeah.
And we used to do drawing?
Tell everyone what you've been up to, because you've been jet setting around, haven't you?
I went to my cousin's house and went to my dad and mum's house with my cousin called Zoe.
Yeah.
And we went to go-karting. Go-kart.
Oh.
And you've been to Japan?
Yeah, we saw each other on the plane, didn't we, Hannah?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was exciting.
Hey, Hannah, what do you want to do when you're a grown-up? What do you want to do for a job? You know, we have to go to work. What do you want to do?
Work at a cafe.
Ooh, nice.
Doing what part? Do you want to make the coffees?
No, I'll make
No.
a 7-Eleven in a secret hideout thing.
Oh, like a Japanese 7-Eleven?
No, there's maybe when there is like an old 7-Eleven, I can get like a 7-Eleven shirt
Yep.
and a 7-Eleven sign.
Yep.
And Regis Slurpee
Oh.
Slurpee machine?
Slurpee machine.
Is this a real one or a pretend one?
No, like a real one.
And then get all of the snacks I can get and sweet.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
you would hide it so no one would know, but you'd be able to run off to your own personal 7-Eleven and make your own Slurpees and snacks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like these shelves. Do you know like the shelves at 7-Eleven?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
put the treats there
Mm-hmm.
and all of the stuff?
Maybe yours.
Yeah.
And I can share them with my friends.
Oh, that's so nice.
Guess what kind of year I'm going into next?
What are you doing next?
Ooh, a good
Year
one.
one.
Year one.
No, you're not.
Wow, you're going to learn so many things. Are you excited?
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I'm in the same class as my friend Valet.
Oh, with Valet. That's awesome.
Do you think that Matt and Takaya, were they funny when you worked
Yeah.
with them? Who was funnier?
Takaya.
Oh, who was sillier?
Daddy.
Daddy Aaron. Okay, Matt. Who was braver?
Takaya.
There you go.
Who was the stinkiest?
Me.
Matt.
I'll take that. There you go.
Do you want to bring Claire in, Hannah?
Claire, do you want to introduce yourself?
Bring in Hannah's mum, Claire. Hello.
Hi,
Hey,
Hi.
How
Claire.
are you?
how's it going?
How was the whole Neighbours process for you with Hannah?
It was a whirlwind. We had so much fun. They kept saying at the beginning that it's going to be a commitment. Like it's going to be like once you do this, you're doing it. We're like, yeah, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun, and it was. And then it was those like challenges where you have to be at set at. I think one of our first times was like 7:00 in the morning. So you have to wake her up in her pajamas, pretty much put her into the car, and then scoot and drive all the way to Nunawading. But then we met everyone, and everyone was so so friendly, so welcoming. And then I had to learn how to help her with her scripts and trying to follow what are we filming today? What are we filming tomorrow? Yeah, so it was a lot of work on me and working with Hannah as well.
So how did you find out about the role and yeah.
So we go to a Japanese cafe just around the corner up the road here in North Melbourne. So it's called 279.
It's really
and
good.
It's really good. Like the coffee is
Shout out to
the
them.
best. Yeah.
279.
And so then we got a text message it was a random time of morning, like it was a Tuesday mid-morning. And they got a text message saying there's an agent has emailed the owner asking whether they knew a half Japanese 3-year-old in the community that would be interested in being in a long-standing Australian TV soap drama. And I knew that Neighbours had finished, and there was the only one I could think about was Home and Away. So I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Is this a scam? Is this something strange? But so we contacted them, and they called us back, and we spoke for a half an hour with the agent and gave us a whole spiel about this is like Neighbours is returning. They need a half Japanese 3-year-old or 4-year-old. This is what it's going to look like. This is what happens. So, and I know Neighbours, like I used to watch it, but I hadn't watched it in such a long time. And so I knew some characters that I was really interested in, especially Toadie. Oh my God.
Classic.
And then so Hannah went to audition, and I think she didn't have to do much, like she didn't have to act or anything. She just had to like meet everyone. And she met Tim, who plays Leo, and she was so shy. I think she thought he was really handsome. Like she was blushing.
Cute.
Like,
No way.
Stop it, Mom.
Embarrassing mom story. Sorry. Yeah. And then I think it took about 2 months. I think it's about 2 months until we actually heard that she got the job. And then
wow.
I think we got it, like we got told it. And I'm pretty sure like 2 days later, we were in the studio meeting you guys.
What sort of things did Hannah learn, do you think, from being on the show? Good or bad?
I think time management. I think like listening, like, okay, getting ready. Okay, you got to do this, getting changed. Okay, if we're getting changed, we've got to wait. Just learning that patience, learning when to come on. Like, I think you helped a lot. And Matt and you guys helped, like, okay, when do we walk onto set? She learned her lines. At first, it was just how to be present. First, like, don't look at the camera. Don't look at the camera. Don't wave at anyone.
Having to do something again, even if she didn't want to.
I don't think she understood what she was doing for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
she had no idea.
Even with like Hurricane Hannah as she was, I remember talking to you about it because whilst yes, you kind of just had to go along for the ride with Hannah. Something I said to you is, but the stuff that they get when they get it is really good. It's better for her to be this way and be having fun, playing, not really understanding what she's doing and giving us heaps of stuff rather than being intimidated and just sort of looking scared, and hiding away or not wanting to do it, or being afraid. It's so much better the way Hannah came in because she had so much personality already. I mean, she's one of the biggest personalities in any room, and that's saying a lot when I've been around Neighbours cast members. And but it comes through in such a vibrant and infectious way, and I imagine everyone who's listening to this who saw Hannah play Isla would agree that it gave so much life to the character because you'd get such an expressive person bringing life to the character, which is harder to do as a child. It's very hard to get, and it's just due to the dynamism that she is, and also then I think the confidence that her parents are given to her to be expressive, to be herself, to bring out her personality, and not to be afraid of what that is. So good, well done. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Yes. She was. When we first did our audition, I didn't know how she was. She's always comfortable with adults. I don't know if it's an only child thing, but she's always been really friendly, very curious. She'll ask those questions. I knew she would be great, like as in like she wouldn't be sitting there awkward, not knowing what to do. She would move with it. She would be engaging with everyone, curious about everything. And I wish we had time to actually explain what was going on in the set as well. Like, who's that person? What does that person do?
It was nice when
was
we
that
had
like-
moments of that though. Hey, like
We could sit.
she really ate it up, and like when you had a moment to be like, this is actually why we're doing it again, because you can see that camera, they're getting that side, and she was interested.
She was really
Yeah.
interested. And so curious, and like the fact that it was all make believe. It was all like it was all a set, and it wasn't real, but it looked so real. Kept her like interested.
Mm.
She was moving here and there, like trying to figure out the set.
I imagine it was really tough when David died to, communicate to her what that was and what that meant. How did you have that conversation?
So many people kept on asking me about it, and I think I asked a few people about it. Like, so death and funerals hadn't been a conversation yet, or an idea or a thought yet. So
Oh wow.
there was there's a part in Bluey that they did talk about death. Like they found a budgie, and so that was the only interaction or thought that she even had about it. But then talking about how like if a dad was going to pass away, like her dad was going to die.
Oh my goodness.
So we didn't. We kept it. So they said keep her innocence. Don't tell her that Daddy David had died in a horrific circumstances, a horrific way. And but then we did watch it. I think we may have watched it, and she thought that that Eden, the evil Eden, had killed Daddy David. And then I explained it to her the other day. We were talking about the show. No, he fell down a ravine. Like he saved Tim, he saved Uncle Leo, and then he fell down and he must have hit his head or something. And she was like, oh, okay. And then we didn't see you, and I think we may have seen and then we didn't see you for a while. So we said Daddy David. So the funeral was Daddy David was going on holiday. He's going away for a long time. He's gone on holiday, so we're not going to see him for a while. And so then I think, Matt, you were really entertaining, trying to keep it all really positive after that and keep it quite focused so that there wouldn't be like this sad, because there was some really, after you died on the show, there was some really sad scenes.
And she didn't like those. She'd be quite affected by them.
Yeah, everyone was really sad. There was a time when you had to look like you were Matt, you were ignoring Hannah or Isla, Daddy David.
I hated
Daddy
that stuff with
David.
her.
Yeah, and remember, and then you had to, and then we had to explain that Daddy Aaron really loves you, really likes you. He's just pretending. Remember?
Yeah, they go
And
cut,
then-
and we try to rush over to
Yeah.
her and be like, "Let's play."
Yeah, don't worry, it's all fine. It's all good. And then, so that was really, I think, a bit hard to understand when it's like, okay, what is pretending, what is acting, and then what is real straight away.
I remember filming the scene where she says goodbye to us as we head off on the trip, and she had to run up and give me a hug, and she kept saying, don't go, I don't want you to go, which I don't think it was in the script. I don't know even if they used it, because I don't know if they wanted it flagging, but it was so crushing for me, and I wasn't sure. Like, had you had a conversation about the stuff prior to that, and she was aware that this was like her last scene with me, or did she just come up with that? She just came up with that on the spot.
You were just gone. You were just, we just kept it moving. We just kept the momentum. I think she did definitely miss you, especially I think we had a sweet 2 months or 3 months where we were all together acting, or she was, I'm not an actor, sorry, when she was acting and being on the show, and it was just you guys as a family for 3 months. It was a really nice, and then we just kept on knowing, okay, the story's getting to that point now. He's about to go. He's going to go soon. And it was like, oh, what is what is it going to look like? What is Neighbours going to look like when we get there? And you three aren't going to be there, playing with her, helping her with the lines, telling her when to when to start, when to go, where to sit. Because it was just playtime. It was like, okay, and action, and it was just playtime. And I know there was some times when you guys would like trying to have like actual like conversations on set, and she's like jumping around. And you guys are trying your best to go to like follow your lines, and you like keeping character.
And that was this. What was it? She had this obsession. What word was it that she kept saying instead of her line?
Oh,
something like poo or something.
Poo.
But I was having like emotional chats with her, and I was like, "Okay, darling," and she'd be like, "Poo."
I love when we would say a line wrong, and it would be an extremely emotional scene. You're like yelling or you're sad or something like that. And you say your word wrong, and she's like, "No, you meant to say it this way." All right.
She'd really correct you guys, even like we're still in action, still rolling. No, you said that wrong. You're supposed to say this.
That's right. By the end, she'd memorized every single person's lines in the whole scene, and she'd be keeping tabs, and she'd look at the person before they spoke because she knew it was their turn. I feel like having someone like Hana on set actually I feel like that actually made it easier and it made it more real, right? A parent is busy. A parent's attention is you always have an ear that way, and you always have an ear that way, and you always split your focus.
Forces you to be present.
Yeah, and when we're on set like that, you split your focus, but sure, all of a sudden now it looks real because you have Hurricane Hana causing a ruckus. And it was actually, I found it more hard to pretend when she wasn't there, because they would bring her in because the kids can't work for too long. They'd bring Hana in, she'd do a section of the scene, and then they go, "Okay, time out. She's got to go back to the kids' room." And so we had to pretend she was there, but that was way harder than having her there, in my perspective. Nothing better than rocking up to set and you see Hana for the first time for the day. She runs up and gives you the biggest cuddle in the world. It felt like she was having fun. Like, did she have a good time?
She had fun. I think she definitely had fun, especially if like her TV cousin Nikita was there. Some the other younger kids. But it was the waiting around. Like we had all these resources and tools that we'd like, okay, to get her help her get dressed. Sometimes there'd be like 5 costume changes or 3 costume changes. On a busy day, there would be 3 or 4 scenes, and those were really challenging, especially to keep her like energy, levels going and steady.
Does Hana want to continue this career? Does she want to keep going down this path?
After she said she didn't, she's like, I think she just wanted, but I think we've given it, it's been like 5-6 months since production finished, and so I think now she wants to start. She's like more doing like at home, she's singing, and she's trying to get us to like, do like an imaginary game with her and do like these character roles with her, and she wants us to be people. And so she's telling us lots of stories. She loves stories. So I feel like at the moment she is starting to think about doing it again. Like, I think she wants to do something. I think she wants to do more like child TV shows.
Yeah,
fun stuff.
It was fun stuff, like, because it was a lot of adults. It was like a lot of the time it's being around adults. And so that, I think that's when she would watch the show, it'd be like, actually, it's a lot of adult stuff. It's not. So she would watch herself. But then all the kissing, then there'll be all the there'll be all the awkward adult stuff, and then she'd be like, "Oh no."
And she's very separated behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
Like, you have the kids' room where she is, and then you have the the adult green room and stuff like that. So, which is like, of course, but keeps her very separate from the world.
They look beautiful. Doing a really good job.
She's finishing up my hairstyle. We're going for like a slicked back. And now she's going to put like fluffy pink clip in.
But it's so hard
Wow.
to do.
Is it?
Hands. Ready? 1. Hold it in place. 1, 2, 3. What do you think?
What do you think, everyone?
Wow.
Give us a profile. Whoa.
That's much better than she looked before.
There you go.
Well, you all are such wonderful people who both Matt and I think, agree, have loved working with over the years. Me, not as long as I would have liked to have. Got to say goodbye to Hana. Hana, bye.
Is that a cuddle? Big hugs.
Big
hugs.
See you, Hana.
hugs. All right. Bye.
We love you guys.
We love
Thanks
you
so
so
much.
Oh.
I want to go to that 7-Eleven. First thing, I need to go.
Yes.
Oh, there's a business opportunity there. Like cubby houses for 7-Elevens. She's going to be rich, that girl.
Funnily enough, I randomly asked an AI today what the most profitable franchises are in Australia, and 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven comes up as the top one. I mean, it costs a lot to buy into it, but they're the most profitable things apparently for a franchise. So she is on the money as a. How old is she now? Like 5 or something. She's already figured out how to make money, and I think everyone would attend her 7-Eleven for sure, especially because she was giving it all out for free. Like taking candy from a baby.
And then giving it to another baby. Well, child.
No. Again, the intro, we were talking about Hana the whole time, and we're talking about Hana again. She just steals the limelight. But it was a great chat with Hana Monson as well. She's such a cool person to talk to, and it was so great when she came on. She fit in so easily onto set, and especially in the dynamic that our family had, both on and off set, really. So it became really easy. And
yeah, I just loved how she morphed into, like, for someone who hasn't got kids or anything, she just morphed. She just knew how to talk to a child. And she had so much, authority or command or whatever. It's probably a harsh word, but Hana just listened to Hannah all the way, straight away.
And interesting, like Hannah's not a person that you would, on first meeting her, would go, oh, she's very maternal. But she has a very strong maternal instinct. Like as soon as Hannah's there, then she does have a way about her of how she knows how to deal with kids in a non-patronizing way. She doesn't talk down to them. She talks in a way where they hear, but she doesn't treat them badly. She's not authoritarian or anything like that. So she has this natural maternal instinct, but it isn't something that you would necessarily think meeting her as like, oh, she's a hugely maternal person. And that's not to say she's not kind or anything like that. It's just that instinctively, I don't think that I would have. That's not the first descriptor I'd have of her.
No, I miss our little family.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did you hear that?
Did you hear that? I heard it through this.
Oh, God. Someone's in my bins again, Matty.
I can't act.
Peeping
I've forgotten
Tom.
how to act.
Peeping Tom here.
Hello, producer Tom.
Stop saying producer Tom. It's Peeping Tom. You know this.
No, I have too much respect for you, sir.
Thanks, Matt. At least one of you does.
That was on your contract. Only one of us had to, right? So
yeah. I have a little treat for you. Well, yeah, because we had a bit of a break, didn't we, from the dilemmas, because got a bit controversial the other week.
You were drunk
with,
the last recording, weren't you, Tom? You couldn't make it.
That's true. No, I'm talking about Foreskin Gate. Foreskin Gate.
Yeah.
Foreskin Gate. You just made it weird. That's why you're Peeping Tom.
I think you made it weird, Tack.
No, you made it weird, Tack. You definitely made it weird.
I did not make anything weird.
Anyway.
Hey, people defended me in the comments. Thank you, people. I love you.
I have a dilemma for you. Okay. This is my favourite one to date. Not to big it up, but I'm bigging it up. It's my favourite one yet. Okay. Ready?
Is this your dilemma, Tom?
It's not mine. It's not mine, no. My dilemma is I hate my bosses. No, I'm joking.
We're not your bosses, though. We're partners in this, all right, Tom? Jeez.
Yeah,
no, but you can keep thinking of us as your bosses. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I dig that.
You give that sort of vibe, to be honest.
He's probably cutting this part, everyone.
Anyway, right, this is from Linda. Okay, so Hi, Linda. Thanks for writing in.
Hi, Linda.
I've been listening since the beginning. So
thanks, Linda.
Yeah. Well, this is nice. Look, you keep me company most nights, especially around midnight when I struggle to sleep. I live alone in a small Victorian terrace in London. I've been here nearly 20 years and always felt safe until recently. Over the past few months, strange things have started happening. Cupboard doors are open when I know that I shut them. The radio has turned itself on in the middle of the night. I hear footsteps on the stairs when I'm in bed upstairs. One night, I honestly thought someone had broken in. I went downstairs shaking and there was nobody there. But my armchair had been moved and my knitting was all over the floor. God, how old are you, Linda? Knitting.
There's nothing wrong with knitting.
True. Tom Daly. My neighbour told me that our houses used to be part of an old wartime hospital, and now it's got me convinced that the house must be haunted. I haven't told my family because I'm scared they'll think I'm losing my mind, but I'm also worried if I ignore it, things might get worse. Honestly, boys, sometimes I feel even more frightened than Matt's chickens with that python. She's a long-time viewer. What should I do? And have either of you had any similar experiences? Love, Linda.
Is this one of Matt's chickens who've written in?
No. I saw something pop up the other day on my Instagram feed of there was like a person discovered living inside the roof of someone, and they'd been doing it for 5 years or whatever without ever being caught.
This is not going to make her feel any more safer, Matt.
Linda, check the roof cavity. Check it now. Or if there's a basement, check the basement. There's someone else squatting in your house. That's creepy.
That's
Sorry,
your
Linda.
advice, Matt.
That's creepy.
Well, I hope no one is living in your ceiling or in your basement if you have one, or your walls or anywhere else that they're not supposed to be living in. What I think is there's two things you can do. Well, there's multiple things you can do, but two things that have come to mind. One, my wife is a very spiritual person, and she believes about spirits and energy around us and that kind of thing, to the point where one of her close friends is a psychic. She's also an engineer. She's quite an interesting person, but she came around and basically because Amy felt like things were a little bit off. And so she went around the house and sort of felt the energies, and we discovered there was an old man who used to live here, I guess, who was struggling to leave. And I had to get a plant from Bunnings. So I got a plant, had to put down. And then basically we pushed / gave the man into the plant. So he had the plant, I guess, and that would make him happy because he wasn't aware of what was going on, why we were in his house or whatever, I think. So you could do something like that, get a spiritual person in or some, what is it, Matt, the smoke stuff?
Sage
the house to clear out the spirits and that kind of thing. So you could do that. But that might not make you feel safe because maybe you'll still hear a noise and you may have heard those noises before, but now those noises mean something. So what could you do that would make you feel safe? Could you add an alarm or put a camera somewhere? Like having a camera downstairs, you can buy one.
Oh, you got to camera the shit out of that house. I want to see this footage.
So if
you've got to put cameras everywhere, Linda.
Rather than you having to creep down, you can open your phone, look at the camera. It's got infrared, so it can see in the dark, and then you can check no one's there, and that can make you feel safe. Because the first thing you want to do is just have that feeling of safety in your own home, I feel. So if those things can make you feel safe, then I think that's what you should do. Because you don't want to be in your own home and be scared. Not like Matt's chickens. Don't be Matt's chickens. Be a bin chicken.
No.
And listen to us and just make yourself feel safe, Linda. That's my advice.
I see this as being an exciting opportunity, Linda. I mean, we've got someone who's obviously trying to reach out to you. Well, let's try and make that connection. Get some cameras. Get them on camera. See if you can talk back to them. It's like Elf on the Shelf, but with a ghost, isn't it? They're just having a bit of fun, and I'm sure they don't mean they could have done something really bad.
Maybe
if
they're
they
trying
had
to learn
bad
to knit.
intentions.
They just need
Maybe
someone to teach them.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe it's an old friend or someone who's trying to reach out and say, hey, let's hang out. Think of it that way, and then you can enjoy it, right? Until the knives start falling out of the drawers. Then it's probably not your friend. Sorry, Linda.
Just don't stand under the knives, and you'll be fine. What'd you think of that, Peeping Tom?
Well, good luck, Linda. I hope no one is living in her loft. That would be awful for her, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Terrified of now, Matt. So,
all right. Is that all you got for us? That's
it.
Peeping
That's
Tom?
all I got. That's all I got.
Great.
Yeah. Ciao.
Thanks, producer Tom. And Tack, I gotta tap out. I have some hungry kids, and I need to start making them some tea.
All right. Well, then you gotta give us a bin joke then.
Oh gosh, yeah. Look, I tell you what, this is another thing my 4-year-old has been coming up with. This caliber of joke, which is it's unmatched. Like, his jokes usually go something like this. So I'm going to give you a joke from a 4-year-old. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Why did the bin cross the road?
I don't know.
Because it's a chicken bin. Now, as the grown-up, you're supposed to laugh at that.
You could have said bin chicken.
Yeah, there you go. I missed opportunity.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Hope you enjoyed. Bye. See you next bin night.